What's going on, winners? Your boy Loso 2.0. And today I have a special guest. I want you guys to meet Kristi Battalini. I'm sorry if I butcher your name. Uh, a fasting mindset coach, nutrition therapy practitioner, and 9D breathwork facilitator. My apologies. Kristi empowers women to tap into the transformative energy of visualization and fasting, helping them shed not just weight but any doubts about their inner strength. Whether she's guiding breathwork sessions or crafting personalized nutrition plans, Kristi is all about boosting your health and happiness with a dash of fun and a whole lot of passion. Ready to unlock your most vibrant self? Let's get you energized with Kristi. Thank you for joining my podcast. That was definitely amazing. And I kind of wanted to, just jump right in. Honestly, I was just talking about this, before we even started. I don't even know what 9D breathwork is. So can you kind of just explain what that is right there alone?
So I facilitate 9D, and the D stands for dimensional. So It's like 9-dimensional. So the idea, well, you wear headphones, and it was actually created by Brian Kelly. He's American, but he's in Bali. His company is in Bali. And he is from Breath Masters. So I took his first course, and then they launched about a year, maybe it's about a year and a half, 2 years ago now, the 9D portion. So they have headphones that is binaural beats, 432 hertz, solfeggio frequencies, coaching, and then there's also music. So most of the they're like pre-recorded. So I use both the pre-recorded ones and then certain ones that I create myself with my own voice, but it still has the affirmations in it and the music, and the binaural beats. And then there's somatic touch when I do it in person. So the whole idea is that you take an hour, they're about an hour, sometimes an hour and 20 minutes for the actual like session itself. And it releases trauma from the body. So it gets deep into your subconscious mind. So it's a form of healing. It's a form of therapy by using your breath. And there's different themes. So there's like a letting go theme, and there's a grief and healing theme. There's 5 trauma imprints. So all these things, when I first did it, I had a profound, like I did it, I was staying at an Airbnb and they were hosting one like online. So I put in my headphones, because you have to, even if you're not in person, you got to wear the headphones. And I had a profound like experience, because I had all these thoughts that I didn't know were there from like years ago come up and just release. So it was, I knew right away, I was like, it's something I wanted to do more and get more into. So now I'm in Chicago and I'm doing it at yoga centers and gyms. And my plan is this fall to get in, like there's a kids program also. So they're short. Those are shorter. There's like 5 minutes to 20 minutes. So you could do like a series of them as a class. And I know there's so many kids are going through stress and anxiety. It's just a chance for them, one, to learn how to breathe. So the kids one's a little bit different. Learn how to relieve stress and anxiety while in school, or maybe, at home too. So that's I'm going to launch here in Chicago in the fall, but also working with athletes and to program for, I just listened to something about all the major athletes. They use like mindset, and it's a way to use like mindset with the layer of breath to get deep into that subconscious to program yourself for success. So athletes, musicians, all that, creating that for, to bring to the people in Chicago and all the athletes. We got a lot of schools here and colleges. So I'm excited for like the next few months and really expanding with the 9D, but it's worldwide also. There's facilitators all over the world, but it's still pretty new. I don't think there's anyone else. There's somebody in the suburbs, but there's no one really else in Chicago doing it yet. I want it to grow, but so that is like one part of my business, which I absolutely love. And I just tell people, like, just try it, get the headphones on, give it a try. Almost everybody, loves it. It can be an intense experience also, but if you're willing to go deep, you can have profound healing changes and a profound release.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about like some things you were saying. I was thinking that just in my head, like, yo, that would be something great for like athletes too, because I know that they have so many like like they're just blocked a lot of times, even with just simple things as like having that confidence out there. It may be coming from some things that stem from before. Because I know even me as an athlete, that was a big thing for me before when I was in high school and college. It was like, dang, why am I not taking more shots? Why am I not, doing
Mhm.
this? It was because I was like, fearful making mistakes. But just, if something like that existed, I would have like easily been like, oh, what the, you know what I mean? And did it.
Yeah.
Or at least not, it probably existed, but I didn't even think of stuff like that. So no, that actually is pretty good. So you only do it in Chicago, or is it going to be something more like, is it able to be done online virtually, or?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I can do it in virtually also. Right now, I'm just mainly doing it online because I feel like the personal touch is a little more powerful. But I do want to also grow it online. Um, but yeah, you can definitely, and it's just the audio when you're there is a little better. There's always that little,
Sure.
you can do it on Zoom. It's not as good, but I do it on online myself. So in the group that we do, like all the facilitators will do it
Mm,
together. Whenever they release a new theme, they release new themes like every month. So we'll all get on a Zoom and do it together to
for
keep up
sure.
with practice. Yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
that makes sense, though.
Yeah.
And you're doing it the right way too. Like, because even with my motivational like speaking and stuff, like I do a lot of like schools around me first, and then I still put stuff online. But I just remember Ben Settle saying, to be famous online, you have to be famous offline too. So once you run Chicago and that's your background, your backyard, you'll be able to just continue to grow from there.
Right.
So I hear the accent on, obviously when you talk, I know you were born in Chicago too as well.
That's funny. I didn't know I had an accent till I traveled out west, and people are like, "You from Chicago?" I guess this is Chicago.
Yes.
I was like,
How was your
"Yeah,
experience growing up in Chicago? I heard it's a nice city. I mean, I heard it's like a beautiful city and all that stuff like that. Cold, but how was your experience?
yeah." Yeah, I grew up in the city. I left for like 2 years, but I've been here all my life, basically. And now I'm like really close to the downtown area.
Mhm,
But I grew up on the north side of the city. Yeah, it is. It's just it's everything I've always known. So it was just like, it's like home. It's
mhm.
all like, it's just like a small world. Like, people are from small towns, but when you grow up in the city, it's like different parishes. I grew up in like in the Catholic parish. So it was like
Yeah.
different parishes know each other. And then I played sports growing up too. So it was like, oh yeah, we played them at some of the public schools, and like it's like a smaller world in this
Mhm.
big city. I mean, there is, in this big city, it's like, oh yeah, I know so and so from there, or even in the fitness field I was in for a while, you knew some of the like the trainers and stuff. I don't as much, but yeah, it's interesting how even a big city you stay in your little circles, right?
No, for sure, for sure. And then you even went to college too, right? In Illinois, right? Southern Illinois University.
Illinois, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you graduated. I don't want because you look. So does the breath work also help with like not aging as fat, or is that another part of your business too?
You
Because
graduated a long ass time ago.
I seen no, I'm not even gonna lie. I seen the year. I was
No,
like 1996 was before I was born. I was like, that is. I don't believe that. I just can't because like you look
no,
young.
I'm gonna be 50 in like 2 months.
That is crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be 50. So I'm like, it's crazy. It is. It's crazy to think that like I talked to one of my best friends, she's turning 50 this week, and we're like, oh my God, we're gonna be 50. And she's like, it's hard. I'm like, it doesn't feel like it because it's like you don't, it's just strange, it's a strange feeling to be that year because at that age. It's not that it's old, I don't feel old, but it's just like, oh my God, you've done so much or lived this life, and almost like you're entering the next part of your life. So that's how I feel. But yeah, gonna be 50 in a couple months. I'm actually looking forward to it because I was like, I'm alive, I'm feeling good, so let's go.
Yeah, so I was in, so is that like another part of like, because I know you also help people with mastering their metabolism, right? So
Mhm.
does that have to do with like, is there any type of de-aging type of like benefits of that or stuff? Or
There is actually. I mean, just oxygenating your body and breath holds, and it's good for your immunity and respiratory system. Yeah, just everything, and then de-stressing. Stress causes us to age. So yeah, that with nutrition, it's like keeps you. I think it keeps you feeling young, feeling good.
yeah, no, okay, all right. So I mean, right now you said you're about to turn 50 in a couple months, right?
Mhm.
I'm 26. what kind of advice would you give to someone like, that is 20, 26, live going into that, part of their life too as well? What kind of advice would you leave them with?
As far as like health wise, like nutritional?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I feel like it's, when you're younger, it's like you have more energy and you don't have to like work as hard as at your health. Like things start catching up with you. Some people feel different. Some people in the 30s, but 40s and 50s, it's like, oh, you start to feel things and be more aware. Or people have health concerns and you shouldn't. But if you could start younger with just learning about basic nutrition, and I feel it's sad that we actually have to learn nutrition because it's something should be natural. Like
Mm-hmm.
all our ancestors, they didn't have to study nutrition because they ate what was around them or from or homemade stuff, or
Mm-hmm.
they cooked more. So it's like the one thing you do is like learn how to, and I'm not a good cook at all, but it's just like learn to cook for yourself or do basic things. That's one thing I was like, because even restaurant food, I'm like, it's really, they cook in bad oils, it's just junk food. Again, you want to live life and be able to have friends that still go out, but it's just those basic things. Learn quality. I feel quality food is the most important thing. And if you could spend your money, because people spend money on cars and phones and all that, I'm like, spend your money on quality food. Like that's putting it in your body. Like get the grass-fed food whenever you can, buy organic when you can. And then I always tell people I balance it out by fasting. So it's like and the more nutritious food you eat, you're not going to have to be like snacking all the time because you're going to feel nourished. So it's not you always want to have to eat. You don't, you can fast longer. So I would just say start learning about it now and just the basics of nutrition. Just know that I tell people you're worth it. And really the one thing I was never like, I felt like our bodies are like so sacred, right? It's like, they say their body's a temple. And I'm like, we say that, but it really is, right? It's so important. And it doesn't mean you have to be like totally, crazy and worried about everything, but really think you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I should fill my body with the best foods I possibly can. Just that way of thinking.
Yeah,
right?
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually see something what you posted too. I think it was like our ancestors used to do like 17 teaspoons a year of like sugar. We do that like in a day.
Yeah, in a day.
That's crazy. No, I definitely, and then kind of like what you were saying, like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. A diet is definitely something like I'll go out with my friends on Saturday night, we'll drink and stuff and eat all bad and go home at 2:00 and we'll wake up at like 6 or 7 o'clock and go to the gym and like play basketball. We're like, yeah, we're good.
I used to be able to do that. Believe me, I did all that. Like, I don't judge anybody.
So I'm
like, I'm like, oh no, I'm going to bed. Nothing good happens after midnight.
No, for real. Okay, all right. So your journey into nutrition, did it start when because I know you said you went to Southern Illinois, you studied kinesiology, actually have a bachelor's degree in kinesiology as well. Is that kind of what introduced you into like this nutritional type of journey, or you always?
I always kind of like was interested in it and always learned. I mean, I've only been doing the nutrition for like 4 or 5 years now. But I feel like my whole life I was always kind of learning about it on my own. So it was like always a passion. I think I was always very extremely athletic my whole life. So I wanted to feel the best. And I did marathons and endurance sports. So I was actually in law enforcement for like 23 years. And then I retired. But I always on the side, I did like nutrition, I was always running or trying to fuel my body the right way. So when people are like, oh, you started nutrition, I'm like, I kind of always did it, it just wasn't like professionally, right? It was like, it was always my thing. So when I switched and got the certification, it was, I just learned, you're always learning more. Still to this day, I'm always learning more, but it was always my passion. And yeah, in college, I went to school for like the kinesiology. I thought that's what I was going to be doing, but
yeah.
Life has different plans.
Absolutely, man. Hardest class for me was anatomy and physiology for sure.
Yeah.
that was definitely the hardest one. But law enforcement for 23 years. How was your experience with that in Chicago? I don't know if it's, I know there's parts of Chicago that are kind of bad, but I don't know if it's going to be anything like, because my friend, he's a cop, but he's in Philadelphia, so that's like it's crazy over there.
So yeah, they have the same stuff as us. Yeah.
Oh, same thing. Also, Chicago's still kind of like.
Oh yeah, we have the same. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know how, if it's like in Philly, I've been to Philly, but people are like, don't go into that area. That's how Chicago is like, okay, you can go into this area, don't go into this area, don't go into that area. So if you're like going downtown, you're like, oh, it's so beautiful. But it's like, you go to a different area and it's, they're shooting, right? They're shooting all the time, but it's, yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, but it's busy. It's good. It's a good I feel like if you want to be busy. Like I
Mhm.
always think about this, the cops in the suburbs, I'm like, what do they do? They must be so bored because we were always, always busy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I heard that. And then they even like in center cities and stuff like that, I know they pay a little bit more as opposed to being like in a suburban type of, at least that's how it was in Philly. He was like, listen, you're gonna make money here, trust me.
Yeah, you do, because you're always
Yeah.
working. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, all right, cool. So I know you were kind of talking about how I know you usually like your ideal before. I don't know if it's still the same, but you help women that are 40 plus.
Hmm.
Um, Now you're kind of also transitioning a little bit into some kids programs too as well. It's the Kids Journey Inner Hero. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm super excited about it because there's a host of like kids journeys, which is nice, but it's teaching the kids literally like you are a superhero and your breath is the connection to your subconscious, which is also your connection to everything. And you're like a creator, right? So you're powerful no matter who you are. So the kids journeys, there's the same thing. It's with the headphones, the 90, and there's some that are just 5 minutes just to relieve stress. There's some to release anger when kids get, because some people, they're young, they have anxiety or anger issues now, and we're
Mhm.
seeing it a lot more. So learning to breathe and just having that, using the headphones, but actually learning the techniques. So there's a few techniques that I'll teach them, and then they'll put on the headphones and actually do it, and they'll go into the binaural beats. Um, and then the 9D breathwork kids they launched a trial in the UK, and
Mhm.
I think they just finished it and they're getting all the data on it, but it was
Yeah.
like for a year and collecting this data. And now they're going to try to, again, it's like, it's the beginning of it. So it's really exciting to be part of it, like to bring it, because I'm like, oh, I can bring it to my hometown, right? Like
Mhm.
this cool thing, because they're in Bali and there's people in all over the world, like just all over the world with the 9D when I get on the calls. And yeah, just bringing it to everyone. Who knows, kids in Chicago, starting with the schools and if park districts, but and them having programs, and hopefully they'll be able to have the headphones for the kids too, because they could even if they get the headphone sets and need like a breathwork break and it's
Yeah.
pre-recorded, and like that's kind of what I see, the vision, and that's what the company sees as the vision. So it's I feel like grateful just to be part of it.
Yeah. And then like you said, that actually introduce it to your hometown too as well. It's like you just giving back in a way. So,
Yeah,
that's what it's about to me. That's really what it's pretty much all about.
exactly.
I know you said that, the 9D breathwork was part of your business. What are the other parts of your business too as well?
Yeah, so I have a membership for where I do the nutrition metabolic, called Metabolic Mastery. So it's
Mhm.
like we do challenges every month and learn about the ins and outs of fasting and how to fast for women, how to fast correctly. But it's just a lifestyle. I always say it's like, we go to the gym, you get a gym membership, but then
Mhm.
nutrition and other things, it's like people are like, well, I did it for a while and then I stopped, or I tried this diet, didn't work. I'm like, you can't, you got to decide, and you got to, because I've even had clients who are like, oh, I haven't seen you. So I kind of fell off a little bit. I'm like, get in the membership. It's low cost. And then you could, every month we do something different, or you stay inspired. Because if I don't get my butt to the gym, and I know people are like, where are you at? Or why aren't you here? So it's the same concept
Mhm.
to stay healthy. So it's also like motivation. I do some breath work in there, um, focusing on like self-image and confidence, because you want to feel good in your body right now, right? We don't want to wait till, I mean, I do focus on weight loss for women, but it's not all about that. It's just about feeling good in your body. That's just a symptom, side effect of it, a side effect of
Mhm.
moving and eating the right foods, and then fasting, because fasting it could be tough. It could be hard, right? It feels good when you're doing it and in it, but it could be challenging, right? But tell people, once you start doing it and get in the habit of it, you won't want to stop, because you'll see the results.
No, absolutely. I did the Daniel fast in like
Ah,
January, and I felt like I was like somebody like getting off drugs or something because the sugar, like, as you know, you get no process. I felt like I
Yeah.
was getting sick and shaky. I was like, what's going on? The first day was bad.
Oh, yes, detox. Yes, that's a big thing. I talk about that a lot because especially if you go from eating like the American diet to
Yeah.
detoxing, it's oh, you do not feel good. I always tell people go slow, but sometimes you want to do it fast. You get it all done in a day or two.
I literally had to like, I think it was like the first day or one of the days I had to like call off. I was like, I just feel like my body just felt
Yeah.
so bad. And then it was after that, I started to like slowly get like a lot more used to it though, because it's over, I think like 3 weeks or so where you're just not eating any sugars, no meat, cheese, it's just
Right,
all
it's
like,
low calorie too, the Daniel fast. Yeah.
yeah, I lost like 10 pounds in like
Oh,
3 weeks.
wow.
Crazy, yeah. But then it was like once I got you, then he was like you could eat before 12, and then also not even just fasting. Because I know you kind of talked about this in your fasting, not just fasting like food, but I wouldn't listen to like any like music or anything like that in the first half of my day, not on social media. And then it was like I felt more productive than I ever been because it was my first morning was just all about just everything else that's productive. Um,
Yeah.
you teach different things like that also into your group too as well when it comes to your fasting.
Yeah, because it's like fasting is we think food, but it's just like, well, fasting from a toxic relationships or from your biggest thing is like fasting from your phone or fasting from like negative thoughts is like the big one, you know. You know a lot about that because you do motivation
Yeah.
and stuff, like that's the
No,
biggest. Yeah,
absolutely.
still we're all
Absolutely.
trying still mastering that, but
Every single day, every single day. I
yeah.
see you also put something like on there. You would talk about like how your organs are like connected to like different emotions as well. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. I just thought that was neat too as well. I was just looking at a bunch of stuff too as well. Um, so Fuel the Beast Nutrition, that's also part of your business. That's the part where you say you actually talk about a lot more of like the diet and stuff like that too as well.
Yeah, that's the name of my company, and I originally started, I was an endurance athlete, so my plan was to work with all endurance athletes, so I was like,
Hmm.
"Fuel the beast," right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I ended up switching, but I kept the name, I like the name, so, yeah, it's just the name of the company itself.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now I also kind of want to talk about this because I also had a kind of a hard time. As honestly, a lot of these questions I'm not even asking for all, so I'm really asking for myself. You were talking about like keto biotic recipes.
Mm,
Now, what kind of falls under the category of that? Because I never really understood what like a keto diet was. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, so metabolic switching, so this is from my recent certification, it's called Fast Like a Girl, and it's under Dr. Mindy Pelz, and
Mm-hmm.
she named this type of diet, and it's really because there's so many diets out there. I don't really tell people I don't you have to eat this way or that. You kind of have to figure out what works for you, but I'm going to give you, like I said, quality. I'm going to tell you certain things that you should do. And one of the things is our ancestors got into keto one by fasting. Well, they didn't have Starbucks, they didn't have like processed food like crackers and everything was whole foods. And
Mm-hmm.
largely most of so when I studied nutrition, Weston Price was one of the founders of there's a Weston Price Foundation, and he was actually a dentist in the 30s, and he went all over the world and studied indigenous tribes, like primal tribes, like
Mm-hmm.
from Africa to Alaska, to South America, to Europe, Switzerland. Switzerland's in Europe, but so he what he realized was like all these primitive cultures, they didn't have any heart disease or obesity, they didn't have any bone deformities, they didn't even have like psychological issues that we have now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said they all ate he was a dentist, so he thought they would eat vegetarian diets. He's like, zero of these cultures ate vegetarian diets. He's like, because they needed the protein. But of course they always ate what was around them, right? But they all ate meat. They ate the whole animal whenever they could. So it's like bone broth and like liver, kidney, like the whole entire animal, right? So they didn't want to waste it. But they were like they naturally knew what was like nutritious, what they needed. The Alaskans ate like fish and really high fatty fish, so they were in the state of ketosis because when our hunter-gatherer ancestors, we'd go without food, we'd have to fast. So I tell people, when you fast, the first day you might not feel good, but what happens is you go into ketosis, and this is your growth hormone gets kicked on, And so if you, let's say we couldn't eat, but we had to go find food, right? So you're in the cave, there's no more food, you go out, and instead of being tired, your body's like, hey, if you are exhausted and tired, you're going to die, right? So
Mhm.
your body has these ketones that we get energy from fat, and have a burst of energy so we could chase after the animals and get in the next kill. And then you'd feast, and then you'd be back to so she calls it a sugar burner system and a fat burner. So it's like you're using fat for fuel, you're tapping in, and you're getting your body starts in the state of autophagy where you're renewing these cells. So it's the anti-aging portion. And then a 3-day fast is called immunity fast. This is a 3-day water fast where you're literally you're like reworking the immune system. So you're changing your whole immunity. A 24-hour fast is like a gut health fast. So when you start doing these longer fasts, your body starts to heal itself, because all that energy when we eat that we used to eat and digest, well, now we have all that energy. So it goes to healing and that autophagy, the renewing of cells, the old cells die off. So it's super interesting how all this happens. So when I learned about this, but then people are like, well, women shouldn't fast, or we shouldn't, well, it is a stressor, right? It can be a stressor. So I tell people, yeah, you have to do it the right way, and you have to know when to back off, and you have to eat the right foods. Otherwise it can be harmful for your body. If you're eating the, sugar, if you're going out and eating bad seed oils, the restaurant food, and then sugars and candy, and then you're trying to fast, your body's not going to like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I know all about that.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Even just like that history kind of that you even kind of gave on ketosis and entering that state where, you know what I mean, that was used for us to go find food. I thought that that's pretty interesting, to be honest with you. But it actually makes sense too as well. And then how you were talking about like the American diet, I thought that was crazy because I went overseas and I was eating, and just like I felt like I was eating so much, but I wasn't really getting that real like over full like type of feeling that I feel like I'll get here. Like I'll have a pizza here, and I'm like, oh, like slice of pizza. I'm like, dang, like my stomach kind of hurts and stuff like. But then you can eat it. Even people that I know that travel, like I'll eat like all the stuff. Some food is banned over there, but they'll eat stuff that they eat over here, and they're losing weight. And I'm like, that doesn't make any. Why do you think like we put so much like processed stuff like over here in comparison to overseas?
Yeah, that's a lot of people have said that, and I've experienced the same thing. Their portions are smaller. I was in Italy. It was like the portions are smaller, and the food, they don't have as many chemicals. I don't know what the reason is, but Chicago, the United States is in Chicago known for, just we have to be extra careful. There's like chemicals in everything. Yeah, and you can go, and even the gluten, the bread here is different. Like I'd go overseas and eat the pasta and bread and be fine, and here it like weighs you down, and people have all these health issues. So unfortunately, it's like you have to learn how to eat correctly. You have to learn what to avoid. Yeah. And then you can actually, I tell a lot of people, sometimes when you fix your gut, you can eat things that you weren't able to eat before. Stronger. And there's also an aspect of with Weston Prices that, which I love, it's really about self-empowerment, because if you create health within your body, and your cells are healthy, you building your immunity, you are not afraid of sick people. You're not afraid of catching a disease. Like I'm never afraid. Somebody has a cold, I'm like, I don't care. Because I know like I only get sick when I am personally run down, personally tired. I've noticed this over the years, like gotten sick when people are like, oh, you're going to how did I get it? Are you trying to think back, like who gave it to you? Like, no, it's something, it's internally, because there's germs and there's viruses in you all the time. You keep your immunity up. And it's funny, since I've been resting more after I retired from the police department, like I really focus on my rest. I used to get ill, all the just colds and stuff, and run down. And I have not been like sick like that in years. And just because I get sleep and I, make sure I rest. So that's the biggest thing. And so I decided I needed to take care of my health and put that first. But that's the main thing.
Wow. So even just going back to rest is helping you like rebuild or build up your immune system too, as well, like you never seen before.
Yeah. And our circadian rhythm. So I used to work, late into the night or only sleep 5 hours. And now I'll have pretty much a regular pattern. And there's another doctor, I think he wrote the circadian code, and he's like, almost all of us, if we're going to bed after like 10:30, we're working like the night shift. and our bodies are supposed to be in bed, like when closely to after it gets dark. But now we have all these, we're on the computer, on these lights.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we still, you're still you have to live in the modern world, but we're throwing off our circadian rhythm. So our sleep is not as deep, or we're not waking up and getting sun or outside as much. So it's super interesting. And that was a big part of me too, that I was sick a lot because I was like up all night and then sleeping during the day, for a large part of my life. And it's just, I know a lot of people still do. So I don't want to stress people out, but I also, during that time, I really focused on my nutrition too. And especially when COVID happened, I was like, I told myself, like, self-empowerment. I was like, I'm going to take care of myself and make sure I get that sleep and really take my supplements and eat the best quality water and get my workouts in, because I was like, I don't want to feel that fear. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's kind of what they teach in the Weston Price. It's just like you control your own health.
All right. Wow. It's a lot of stuff. It just seems like a lot. I'm not sure if one podcast episode is enough to learn all that stuff. So they definitely need to join your group 100%.
Yeah.
Get that stuff together. So yeah, last thing I wanted to ask you as well, because we talked about a lot of stuff here too as well. If you had to leave like one piece of advice for the audience, anyone listening out there, what would you leave them as regards to, health or even just entrepreneurship?
Oh, what I think the most important thing is that I feel like I always go back to, and it's literally, so it sounds silly, but because entrepreneurship, it's like, it can be stressful too. And I'm like, none of it's worth it if you're not just like doing what we're doing tonight, like having fun, like talking to people, like making connections. I was like, so I'll leave you. Oxytocin is like the one, Dr. Minnie talks about this, the one hormone that is so important. And that's like hugging people, petting your dog, like interacting with people. I'm like, that's the most healthiest thing you could do for yourself. And sometimes I'm like, I don't do that enough. Oh my gosh. Because I'm like busy working. I'm like, I got to get outside and like interact with people because we're on the devices. I was like, that's probably the biggest health thing, is like our relationships and connections. Because I think we all know, I know people that have horrible diets, or and they're healthy and they live long lives, right? It's because they have those connections, or they're upbeat. So I was like, the number one thing is just like, find a way to just relax and enjoy your life, have fun, do more of what you love, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Just have fun. I love it. That's gonna be the name. That's gonna be the name of the episode. Yeah. Just have fun and interact. All right, I love it. If someone were to reach out to you or want to reach out to you in order to have help with their metabolism, their breath work, or just honestly just connect with people so they can have fun too as well, what's the best way to connect with you?
I'm on Instagram at Fuel the Beast Nutrition, or just under my name on Facebook. Mm-hmm. My email is Kristi at Fuel the Beast Nutrition.
Okay.
I'm always on social media somewhere, so not hard to find.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. And you have a unique name. Is that like Italian, Battalini?
Yeah.
I had a feeling. All right, great. So thank you. I definitely appreciate you taking the time out today just to give us a lot of information that's gonna help others too as well. So I appreciate you. I know you're really busy. I
appreciate this. Is fun. This is a lot of fun. I felt like, oh my God, I just jibber jabbed for.
That's great. I love it. That's really all I had for today for everybody. So again, go join our group. Go find her on Instagram. I'll leave it all this information below the video too as well. I want you guys again to keep killing the day. Winners win, losers lose, and you guys pray for success like this. I'll talk to you guys.